All right, let's talk about the Xfinity Series race. And this finish, I think, certainly fired up a lot of people on social media. Not just because we had a couple of Cup guys back in the race. I suppose it's a good thing Josh is off again tonight because he wouldn't be happy if you had to talk about Ty Gibbs and Kyle Busch once again. But I see Ty Gibbs certainly didn't get the finish that was indicative of the way he ran. Sam Mayer picked up another win, his second in the last few weeks here, both on road courses after he picked up the win at Road America. But a little bit controversial how he got it done. So, Brandon, first question straight off, was Mayer's move on Ty Gibbs fair or foul?
It's such a cut and dry question, isn't it? I have too many thoughts about this, and it's hard to boil it down. But when you look at it objectively, Sam Mayer's wheel hop does not, at the end of the day, was that really a wheel hop? I don't know. The way he sounded on the radio before this restart, he said 10 explicitive 4 after what his crew chief gave him there. So basically, I think that was like a premeditated murder kind of thing. Like he decided wholeheartedly before that restart what he was going to do. But I also think the Wisconsin driver is smart enough to mask it in such a way where maybe he won't get penalized for intentional wrecking. And so that's kind of my theory of what happened there into turn one, the fake wheel hop. And so he can go into the interview and kind of shrug it off, like, almost, apologize for it too, to save face. But that's not the Sam Mayer we heard on the radio. And I think that's actually what his intention was. Like, okay, I don't think non-Xfinity drivers need to be winning these races is basically what we got from him in post-race. And as much as you and I both agree with that, because that's kind of what we talk about a lot with the Xfinity Series, Cup guys coming in and taking away all the glory, and like they shouldn't really be there in the first place. And Josh talks about that too. But Ty Gibbs is 1 year removed from the Cup, from the Xfinity Series full time, and he was the champion. So it's not too far away. Just a year out. I don't feel as bad as if we talk about that too a lot. I wouldn't feel as bad if it's him as much as it is Kyle Busch. But you stay consistent, and I'll leave you to that. Did I enjoy it as just watching it? Yes. Do I think it was wrong? Absolutely. No, that was bad.
Well, I stay consistent. I was upset when Ty Gilliland won the Knoxville truck race last year. He was a Cup rookie. So I don't care who it is. If you're running for Cup points, I don't want to see you in Xfinity trucks. I don't care if you're Kyle Busch. I don't care if you're a rookie. I try to stay consistent here on this show. So Ty Gibbs, I got to admit, didn't love seeing him in the race to begin with. Don't love the fact that he can get around the loophole because he is a rookie. He's not capped at the 5 race limit that guys like AJ Allmendinger and Kyle Busch are. That's why Allmendinger was removed from I guess he was on the entry list because it helped with the metric or something. There was another weird loophole that colleagues seemed to be able to find a workaround there. And then Kyle Busch obviously ended up driving the race. I guess he had a starting hand because he didn't run the Charlotte race because both got postponed on Monday and he wasn't going to do 900 miles in a single day at that point. But regardless, I don't have too much to add other than, we'll get into it a little bit more here with Ty in just a minute. But when you look at it objectively, I'm not a fan of the move Sam Mayer pulled off, but this will lead us into the next question here, I suppose. I can't say I have as much sympathy as I would have for really anybody else in the field based on what Ty Gibbs did to Brandon Jones last year at Martinsville. And I think, to your point, Brandon, even more blatantly than Sam Mayer did, because at least Sam Mayer could make the argument, maybe you could say it was a bit of a wheel hop and maybe that didn't leave him with 100% total control of his car. Whereas Ty Gibbs last year, it was clear, it was blatant, it was obvious. It's all day there. So does Ty Gibbs have any right to complain given what he did to Brandon Jones at Martinsville last year? Is this a situation where if you can dish it out, you have to take it back?
I know NASCAR is going to have their revenge. They're going to do that all day long. I'm not. It's not what I like to do. But does Gibbs have any right to complain? Sure, I guess he can do that. I don't think he does, but he can do that because he's Ty Gibbs, so he can do that. But I think the most positive thing that's coming out of this for NASCAR as a whole is that Sam Mayer and Ty Gibbs, like we can manufacture rivalries all day long, but Ty Gibbs and Sam Mayer actually don't like each other. They've been racing each other their entire lives, and they really don't like each other. It's pretty evident. They got real beef, and that's really fun for us to watch. And maybe when they're both, maybe hopefully they'll both find their way to Cup, or they'll have a lasting rivalry here in the Xfinity Series that we can mull over and find a saga to be born, a Earnhardt versus Gordon, if you will, but a little more. Well, I don't know. You can't really compare it.
Yeah. Well, with all due respect, I know Ty Gibbs is the defending champion, or the reigning champion, I should say. He's not defending his championship, but I think he's got a long way to go still. As talented as he is at such a young age. Maybe we hold off on the Jeff Gordon or Dale Earnhardt comparisons for at least a little bit there. But
yeah,
I will say it did kind of puzzle me. And this goes back to the point Matthew said in our chat last week. Every time you feel like you're coming around on Ty Gibbs, you maybe start to like the kid. He does something like a burnout in front of the field, or an interview like he gave this weekend where he mentioned, congrats to him on getting his second win. I wish I could have gotten my 13th. Or, I'm racing on Sundays. He's racing on Saturdays. Like,
the passive aggressiveness in that young man is getting me. And also, yes, Matthew Owens, this last comment here, don't try to complain. He races on he races on Saturdays. I race on Sundays. Just cheap shots. And he knows exactly what he's doing. It's cheap shots. They're ugly, and they both look like dummies out there saying these things about each other. Who actually was mature here? Neither of them. They both lost, but we won because it was a good show.
Yeah, well, that's really ironic. The last part of that chat message there, like, Ty was there racing on Saturday as well. Why was Ty there racing on Saturday? Was it to gain more experience?
Right.
Because he's still young. He's still trying to work. I mean, he's in the Cup Series. That was more my problem with Ty Gibbs. Like, does Ty Gibbs have a right to complain? Everybody has the right to say what they want to say, right? You can say whatever you want to say in your interview. You just have to deal with the repercussions of how your words are going to be perceived by the audience and by your owners and by your sponsors and all that stuff. Again, when Ty Gibbs is doing it, it comes off as more than a little bit hypocritical, I think, because it's not just what happened in Martinsville in the fall last year. It's also what happened in Martinsville in the spring last year. I think that was Martinsville, right? When
right.
Gibbs and Mayer really got into it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the first time Ty Gibbs has ruffled some feathers in not just the Xfinity Series, but the ARCA level as well. So, that was more my problem for me. It's that it was the passive aggressiveness, like you were saying, Brandon, of, taking these cheap shots at Sam Mayer's win record when, hey, the vast majority of these guys here on this results list to our right, they would love to have 2 wins in this series. Most of them can't say that. Sam Mayer is on a path to a very successful career. I think if he can keep this up and if he can mature enough to be able to do this on Sundays a few years down the line, I know he hasn't had the, record-breaking success that, maybe his teammates have had, such as Justin Allgaier or some of the other guys that have come up through junior motorsports over the last couple of years. But he's had a good couple of years. He's done very well in that car, I think, all things considered. It's easy to forget just how young he is as well. So I think he's got a bright future ahead of himself. I didn't really appreciate the cheap shots that Ty Gibbs took in terms of his wins record and, not racing on Sundays. Like, Sam Mayer was born in 2003. I think even if he had the skill level and talent, I think he very well might. There aren't very many people born in is Ty Gibbs, I think, the youngest driver in the Cup Series right now? He has to be, right? Born in 2002. He's only got a year on Sam Mayer. So he's basically, Sam Mayer could be in the Cup Series next year. They'd be on the exact same career path. So
yeah,
I didn't really get that.
Yeah, just a bunch of immaturity going on, and they both have a lot of growing up to do. And we're just, unfortunately, we're witnessing really young people become successful in really high caliber series. And that's just something that we haven't seen too much of in decades past. And maybe if we did, we would have saw more immaturity back in the 80s and 70s. Can you imagine 16, 17-year-olds from the 70s making their way out into the big time? I mean, but we're lowering the the age as we've gone on, and I think we're starting to see what that looks like.